Welcome to Confessions by Banana Ketchup. My first and only shadow person experience, January 5th, 2021. To start off, I would like to give a little background to what kind of person I am. I'm 16 years old as of writing this. I have asthma, ADHD, dyslexia, and aphantasia. If you aren't familiar with any of these things, research them yourself to learn more. I'm a naturally happy and optimistic person. I hadn't ever believed in any kind of supernatural forces, although I found them interesting and watch frequent videos about them on YouTube. I'm around 5 foot 8 inches and wear a size 11 shoe. This will all make sense in context of the story later. Now onto the actual story. It was very late when I woke up suddenly to use the restroom, right around 4 AM. I used the restroom, then lay back down for about 2 minutes trying to go back to sleep. Suddenly, I feel extremely thirsty, so I grab my water jug, walk to the door, open it. That is when I saw it. As if it appeared out of nowhere, a tall, solid black figure was standing behind the open door in the corner of my room. No eyes or mouth to be seen. I don't even begin to dare to look directly at it, and continue to stay frozen in place, peering at it out of the corner of my eye. The figure didn't move, with exception to a slight idle swaying motion. It is absolutely motionless. Without moving my footing of the direction of my vision, I slowly closed the door. When the door closed, that's when I realized just how tall this thing was. For more context, the height from my floor to my ceiling is just under 10 feet. The figure was standing flat on the ground and its upper back and shoulders were touching the ceiling. At first, this very small detail didn't click in my head. Then it hit me like a bag of bricks. If it's slouching, it's even taller than it looks. This fact was utterly bone-chilling when I made the realization. While contemplating what my next move is, I make another observation. This thing's hands are absolutely massive, especially when compared to its abnormally small feet, which were smaller than mine. The strangest part about this thing's hands was that, from what I can see from out of corner of my eyes, its palm was relatively proportionate to the rest of its body, but those fingers were long as hell. Allow me to elaborate on just how long these fingers were. As I stated before, I'm just around 5 foot 8 inches. This thing's legs, while standing flat on the floor, might I remind you, stopped at just around my chest. That's right, this thing's hips were around my chest height. This thing's wrist started right around its upper thigh, just like normal, but its hands, specifically its fingers, reached all the way down to its ankle area. The more I examine it, the more terrified I become. The last major observation I made before making my next move was that it was blacker than black itself. I realized this when I remembered that I threw them out the next morning due to this experience, blackout blinds in my room, which means there was absolutely no light in my room, but I could still see this thing as clear as day. I could even see a strange cloudy, smoky aura surrounding it. At this point, I had been standing there for about 2 to 3 minutes, even though it felt like hours. I, somehow, grow the balls to reach out and touch it. I don't move my footing, nor do I move my gaze. I begin to reach out. When I reach into this figure's previously mentioned cloudy aura, my hand grows to freezing temperatures. Probably not actual freezing temperatures, but it had caused me some discomfort. Although it made my hand cold, I didn't hesitate and continued to reach. I had been reaching for this figure for what felt like hours, slowly creeping towards it, inch by inch. Right when I was about to touch the figure itself, it vanished. No trace of it ever being there, nor that it would return. The figure itself, the cloudy smoky aura, even the extreme cold feeling, temperature, it had all vanished within a second. After standing idle for about 30 more seconds, the adrenaline run wore off. I had been hyperventilating for about a minute, so I took a few puffs of my inhaler and tried to calm myself down. After about 5 minutes of sitting on my bed and doing my best to research what had just happened to me, I got up, splashed some water on my face, and somehow drift off to sleep. While doing minimal research, I found 2 very common ways to explain the shadow people as a whole. My case, however, is very different. If anyone has any idea for what the heck happened, I'm all ears. They are just hyper-realistic dreams you mistake for reality. I can see how this is the case for many people, but not for me. As I stated before, I have a brain condition called aphantasia, which means I can't see mental images. Therefore, like many others with the condition, I'm incapable of dreaming. In these circumstances, it is impossible for me to have dreamed this up and mistook it for reality. They are just vivid hallucinations. This is also not the case for me because of my previously mentioned brain condition. Although hallucinations are not the same as dreams, they are basically mental images shown to you in real time with your eyes open. So again, my circumstances make this impossible. This experience left me petrified for almost a full day afterwards. I've decided to share my experience with others with the same interests or experiences. I can also draw a diagram of the figure if you guys want. Also, sorry if the spelling or the way I describe things is bad. Edit. If you want to use my story in some kind of video, you can. Just link me the videos and keep me as anonymous as possible. Thank you, PimpBoiQ, the author. My old experiences that still makes me confused. I'm 25 years old now, and the experiences I'm about to share took place when I was 5-6 years old. At the time, me and my family were in a different state. My father worked at a local factory, and we used to live in company quarters. It was a small apartment, had a living room, 1 bedroom, kitchen and a bathroom. I don't remember much of my childhood there, but this thing I vividly remember. I still don't know if it was a sleep paralysis or a nightmare. I would frequently see some people during nighttime. This only happened a dozen times if I remember correctly. I sleep with my parents, as I told earlier, we had only 1 bedroom. These people would just walk around or perhaps just look at me. They don't intend to harm me or frighten me. Whenever I see them, I can't speak and couldn't get up, but I could turn my head and move my arm. The next thing I'm about to tell you is a bit hilarious. The only thing they did to me is tickle me. Yeah, I know I might crazy, but that's the truth. Whenever I woke up in night, I just see them there. They either just walk around the room or just look at me, or sometimes even give little tickles. They were dark toned, and I don't remember seeing their faces, but I remember that their skin was rough and thorny, much like Croc's skin. Now, I'm about to tell you the experience I remember the most. As usual, I woke up in middle of the night. Mom and Dad were fast asleep. I sleep in between them, as we had only 1 bed, and there they are in the kitchen, which is attached to the bedroom. We had a gas stove, and there were 2 of those people doing something on stove, turning their backs on me. As usual, can't make a sound, but I can move my arm. First, I tried to call my mom by poking with my hand. As I was about to do that, somehow one of them sensed it and turned and looked at me. I froze, didn't move a muscle. After he turned and returned to whatever he was doing, I decided to poke my father. As anticipated, when I was about to do that, the same guy sensed it again and just looked at me. Perhaps he was to warn me. Then everything went black. This was one of a few experiences I remember, but I'm sure they didn't harm me in any way. But they tickled me, which I disliked. I don't think I told my parents about them. Eventually, I also called them a name. I don't know when, how, or why I came up with such a name. I clearly remember the name though. I'm not saying that here it's a native language, and actually it's a childish name and embarrassed to say it here. But the name is more synonymous to false god or false holiness. One other thing I remember is whenever I see them, I was not overly fearful or panicked. On the other hand, I was desperate to make them leave as I hated those tickles. After my 6th birthday, my father got transferred to a different place and we moved to another state, and I didn't see them again. As I grew up, I came to know about sleep paralysis and lucid dreaming and accepted those as possible explanations. But something's still fishy as I describe their bodies and feet. For a 5-year-old to imagine these things with such details, it's impossible. Those scaly, thorny exteriors and the sequences that occurred can't just come by from a 5-year-old's imagination. Well, I leave it for you to decide what it was. By the way, I'm still very ticklish to this day, hypersensitive to tickles actually. Thank you, ScionCosac, the author. My house is built right above an old logging company building, and I'm pretty sure one of the past employees is haunting it. I have always been an avid believer of the paranormal, and my recent experiences with the paranormal have piqued my interest even more. Both me and my friend have spotted a shadow person multiple times. They're about 6 feet in height, and they don't seem aggressive, just curious. We are pretty sure that this entity resides in the storage room in the bottom level of my house. This storage room is connected to the bathroom. Before I start, I would like to explain that I live in the bottom level of a 3-story home. All encounters have been at this bottom level besides one which was in the middle level. Here are all of the encounters. Number 1. The first encounter I had was while I was sitting in the living room, middle level of the house. I had seen a perfectly shaped shadow hand reach from out of a door that leads to the downstairs. It shook its hand, and when I looked at it, it slowly disappeared. Number 2. These 2 experiences were very similar, so I'll group them into one. In the downstairs living room, I had seen a shadow pass from one side of the room to other until it reached the door to my bedroom. The second experience was the same, except it was from the door to the storage room to the door that leads out into the living room. Number 3. It was later at night, but I was nowhere near tired. I was lying in bed on my phone, then I had looked near the foot of my bed and saw the same figure simple just standing at the foot of my bed. It eventually had drifted away to the door and disappeared. Number 4. I have recently gotten a pet cat, and for some reason, this cat has an obsession with going into the storage room. I'm not sure if this counts as an experience, but from what I understand, animals have a closer relation with spirits. Number 5. I have some friends over regularly, and we always are playing some games around the table. We have 2 computer chairs we needed to bring in from another room, so they were out in the living room, and I was too lazy to put them away since everyone had left late. I was getting ready for bed. I sometimes sleep in the living room because one of my couches is a futon, and my cat was with me downstairs. I lied down, and then a few minutes later, one of the computer chairs had started violently shaking back and forth. My cat was on the ground but nowhere near the chair. My cat had run up and down the stairs almost 4 times, then refused to go into the living room for the rest of the night. Number 6. One of my friends had experienced something similar to my second experience, and while we were both alone at my house, she had heard a knocking at the door that goes into the storage room while she was in the bathroom. Number 7. The most recent experience has been the scariest. Tonight, while playing cards, my friend was sitting on the couch facing my bedroom door. She had saw a person cross the door from one side to the other, but instead of a shadow person, it was a full figure, the same height as the shadow figure. Out of fear, the only thing my friend could remember is that the figure had blonde hair. I'm not sure if this being is dangerous, but throughout all of these experiences, I have never felt scared or in danger of this entity. Thank you, poppinphils, the author. Thank you for watching, everyone. If you already haven't, subscribe to this channel so you don't miss any new episodes. See you again soon, and until then, please, be safe.